Hello, Eamon. Thank you for coming today. I just wanted to talk to you about the Second Amendment. What's your stance on that stuff? And obviously to start, what is your stance on the Second
Sure.
Amendment?
So I'm a believer in the Second Amendment. I think that people should have the ability to purchase a gun and own a gun if they desire. However, I think that there are issues that could maybe use reworking, such as the types of guns available, as well as the accessibility of guns are to people.
Okay, so you're for the Second Amendment, but only to the extent of who accesses it?
Yes.
Okay. With that being said, I'd like to bring out a report in 2018 by the Small Arms Survey. U.S. gun owners possess 393.3 guns, or weapons. This is more than one registered weapon per U.S. citizen. With this being so high, how do you think restrictions on accessing a gun would limit the amount of guns that fall into the wrong hands?
So yeah, and I mean it's certainly not going to reduce the amount of guns available, but it can prevent it from getting high. And if we don't do something, this number will just continuously rise. It will mean more guns will be available, more unregistered guns, more high-powered guns, and this will all lead to more guns falling into the wrong hands.
Okay, so then what restrictions do you think we should enact to prevent that?
Yeah, I mean I think just stricter background checks, making it longer to get a gun. I mean, hopefully this deters people, like, criminals who need a gun quick. It also might prevent the legal sale of guns to criminals, people with criminal history, as well as people with mental health issues. And I mean, I also think another thing is just raising the gun age to 21, keep it out of the hands of teenagers, might just be something to look at.
Now, you mentioned background checks. I just wanted to talk about that for a second. Do you think background checks and waiting periods are necessary for firearm purchase just in general, or do you think it actually acts as a burden to the citizens?
So yeah, I mean, I do think it's necessary, but I also do agree that it would be a burden, it would be an inconvenience.
Okay.
That being said, I do think it's necessary in order for the greater good.
Okay, thank you. I'd also like to touch on what guns you said that needed to be restricted. Just explain to me, why is there a difference in allowing specific guns accessible towards the public rather than restricting the selection of guns to choose from?
Sure. So specifically, I just want to mention assault weapons. Right, these guns are designed to shoot as many bullets as possible in as quick a time as possible. Right, they are designed to kill as many people as possible. That's why it's used by the army. Right. So for your average person day to day, there should be no need for these types of weapons, right? I mean, unless you plan on shooting multiple people, there's really no need for this, which is why I think, okay, you don't need that. Your average gun duties, hunting, to self-defense can be carried out by other weapons that don't pose as big a threat to the public.
Okay. Do you think individuals possess the means to counteract government tyranny or oppression in the event that such conditions emerge, in which case assault weapons would prove to be beneficial?
Sure, I mean, I do think that, the citizens should be able to stand up to the government if they so see it. However, first of all, I don't think that people in the United States would ever be able to overtake the government, especially with the U.S. Army. And secondly, I don't like the idea of holding on to assault weapons in case something happens. It kind of just seems like redundant, like it's a gasping straw just to hold on to it, and I don't think it's necessary.
Okay, thank you. Do you think states should have the authority to enact laws within their state, or do you think gun laws should be standardized across country at a federal level to ensure consistency?
Yeah, I think at the federal level would just ensure consistency. It would erase any sort of confusion between states carrying guns across state lines, and it would just make it easier for the people, I'd say.
Awesome, thank you. And for my last question, what are your thoughts generally on this regarding the state Texas allowing open carrying?
So I'm conflicted when it comes to situations like with states like these, right? So first of all, I think it could deter potential crime, right? Like people might be less likely to steal, to rob, to hurt somebody if they see somebody has a gun, right? But at the same time, I think it could also just cause like public uneasy, public unrest. Like you're sitting at dinner with your family and the guy at the table next to you has a gun. I mean, your nerves would be a little rattled there, and I think it could just cause some sort of issues.
Awesome. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming out and talking to me about this. I know this is a very touchy subject. Again, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
No problem.